Hello everyone, welcome into my video. I am sitting in the courtyard of my condo complex on this beautiful night, the night before Halloween, also known as Mischief Night. And I thought, what a wonderful time to do a video. How's everybody's October been? Mine has gone very fast. It seems like just yesterday it was October the 1st, and now tomorrow is Halloween. This video tonight is about ghost stories. I have a few ghost stories to share with you. They are true because they happened to me. My daughter has been asking me, Mom, when are you going to do your ghost stories on YouTube? You need to really tell your ghost stories. People will really find them interesting. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to do them. The first one I'm going to tell you is, it's not really a ghost story. It's just something really weird that happened to me. The others are definitely paranormal. So let's get into this. I was 8 years old, and we had property up in Lawson's Valley. That's above Humboldt in San Diego. And I was up there with my mom and my dad. My brother was staying at a friend's house, and we had a single wide trailer, which is very small, as I'm sure everyone knows. Anyhow, my mom and dad decided they were going to go see a neighbor for a while, and they left. And I heard them get into their truck and pull out of the driveway and leave. Well, it was about 5 minutes later, I heard no car. All of a sudden, I heard something walking up, or someone walking up the steps to the front door. And I saw a light in the door, in the window of the door. And I heard the doorknob starting to turn. And I couldn't remember if Mom and Dad locked the door or not. And I was so terrified. I was praying to God, please make whatever this is, whoever this is, go away. Because I was by myself and I did not know what to do. Eventually, they just disappeared. I didn't hear them walk back down the steps. They just disappeared. For an 8-year-old child, that's terrifying. I remember when my mom and dad came back, I told them what happened, and they didn't believe me. See, when something paranormal happens, I can feel it. I'm very sensitive that way. I suppose I always have been. Well, a few years later, actually when I was more than a few years later, I was 20 years old, I moved out on my own. I moved into an apartment in El Cajon by the DMV. It was actually a pre-apartment program. I had a roommate, and she was going to visit her mother. And I was getting ready for bed, fell asleep. It was a normal night. Then sometime about 5 o'clock in the morning, I felt something heavy on my chest, almost pinning me to the bed, breathing hot. I could feel their hot breath breathing on my face and my neck and growling. And I remember, again, I was just terrified. At 20 years old, I was terrified. I was there alone. I was able to finally break free. I was able to pray, and that's what broke the hold that it had on me. I got out of bed and grabbed my Bible and went and sat in the front room. I was completely freaked out, completely just scared. I remember that the apartment was freezing cold, and I got that weird feeling again, and I started seeing this big black butterfly moth thing flying in front of my face. I sat on the couch and started reading the Bible. It didn't matter to me what part of the Bible. I just opened the Bible up and started reading. And I noticed that it was trying to distract me from the Bible. And so I started looking at it and trying to figure out what is it? Is it a moth? Is it a big butterfly? Whatever it was, I knew it was that thing that was holding me down and breathing all that hot breath on me. Almost like trying to steal my breath in a way and trying to kill me. So I went back to reading the Bible, and I thought, I need to, if I can just get it between my hands, I could kill it. So I tried that. I would try to get it between my hands, just watch it with the Bible on my lap, and I would do that. I did that twice and missed it twice. I went back to reading the Bible again because I noticed when I read the Bible, it was annoying me then. It was trying to keep me from doing that. So I read the Bible again, and it came back. And this time, I really took my time and got it right between my two hands and went, and that time I got it. And the minute I got it, the minute I killed it, so to speak, the atmosphere went back to normal in the apartment. I didn't feel that weird feeling anymore. And I was able to finish reading a chapter in the Bible, and then I was able to go to bed. And that was the only time I ever had that problem in that apartment. My next story takes place years later. Excuse me. Got a frog in my throat. Like I said, my next story takes place years later. I had moved to a condo complex that was right off of Hamashaw. And at first, everything was fine. At that time, it was me, my daughter, and her father. This one's, these stories you're going to find they're going to get a little bit more paranormal as they go on. Anyhow, the whole complex was haunted. My condo it was really hard because all of a sudden me and my daughter's father, actually my boyfriend, we started arguing a lot. And we never used to argue before. We started seeing apparitions. I saw a black shadow figure running down the hallway. The atmosphere in that condo was terrible. Before we moved in, someone set it on fire. My daughter had night terrors there, quite a lot. And like I said, her father became very angry frequently. I couldn't wait to get out of that place. I think that my daughter was physically attacked by a spirit. It could have been a spirit of a child molester because she swears she was molested. And I believe her. We lived there for 12 years. Or was it 7? Maybe it just felt like 12. Like I said, I couldn't wait to get out of there. I would come home and it would just be chaos there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else happened there. I know that every time you went outside, you felt like you're being watched. I know the complex next door was haunted because my daughter and my foster daughter were coming home with me from next door, the other apartment complex, and something chased us out of the complex and down the street. And of course, they ran ahead and left me behind. That's not really... It is a ghost, but it's more like a demon type than just a regular ghost. Which brings me to my next story. We moved from that condo to a house. I needed to look for a house because my daughter was about ready to start junior high, and the junior high was just way too far away for her to walk there safely. And my foster daughter was already going to high school in the area, and they both needed to be closer to school. I looked for many homes, and I drove with my mom down this one street right next to Granite Hills High School. And we stopped in front of this house, and I looked over, and I said to my mom, "Mom, too bad that house doesn't come up for sale, or will come up for sale." And my mom said, oh, Danelle, dream on. There's no way. Well, I got really discouraged because all the houses we were looking at were just not working out. My mom called me. It was close to New Year's. And she said, Danelle, you've got to take a look at this house. I said, I don't know, Mom. Think about taking a break from house hunting. I'm exhausted from it. And she goes, no, really, you need to take a look at this house. And I said, okay. And so we went to take a look at the house. And it was a beautiful yellow house with white trim. And it's been months since I looked at the house and said, how about that one? I kind of just put it out of my mind when Mom said, that'll never come up for sale. Anyhow, prior to going over there, I wrote a letter to Jesus telling him what I would like to have in a house. And I put it in a prayer box. So I walked in the door with my mom, my stepsister, who was the real estate lady that we were using at the time. It was beautiful. It had a nice sized front room with a fireplace. It had a kitchen, a huge kitchen with a linoleum floor and a bar. It had a room off the back with a washer and dryer that was inside the house. It had 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. What really clinched it for me was not only the linoleum floor and the room off the back with the washer and dryer, it was a beautiful master bedroom, or now they call primary bedroom. It had a kind of small bathroom, but it had a walk-in shower. I remember jumping into that shower and saying, sold. Well, we got into a bit of a little bidding war over it, and the owners accepted our bid and our offer, and it went into escrow. Excuse me. And we had to do all of the qualifying and stuff like that. Well, to fast forward a little bit, we go to sign the final papers. And we go over there, and they have the front room, or the front room door, the front door actually, in where the front room is, open. And they have the back door where the sun porch is, open. And you know how sometimes you can get a cross breeze and it'll slam one of the doors shut. The thing is that there was no breeze that day. And we're signing the papers, and the door where the sun porch is slams shut. It makes me jump, my mom, my stepsister, we all jump. And I remember looking up and thinking, I wonder. But I also was thinking, gosh, I love this house. I fell in love with it when I saw it. When I walked into the door, I fell in love with it. We went home, and I remember talking to Robert. It's Ariel's father, my boyfriend, and saying, we signed the papers today for the house, which he was against because he thought where we were staying was fine. And I told him it wasn't. It was just too small for all of us, for the 4 of us. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo, 936 square feet. It was too small. And he said, okay, I'm going for a walk. And I said, okay. So he goes for a walk. He's gone for a while. He comes back. And he says, I walked over to the house. And I said, okay, because I gave him the address. I said, okay, what do you think of it? Because it's nice. I said, just wait till you see it in the daylight. It's even better. He says, there's something weird, though, as he went to get a glass of milk. And I said, what? He says, when I got over there, the back door was open. And I said, which back door? Because there's one to where the garage was, that's now a room, and then one where the sun porch is. And he said that it was the one where the sun porch was, or is. And I said, that's interesting, because, maybe I thought to myself, well, maybe they forgot to close it when they left because they were moving their stuff out. That happens. Maybe they thought that, another, somebody else closed it that was helping them move, and they forgot. And so I just kind of brushed it off like it was nothing. We moved in. It was the day before Easter. I had the girls' Easter baskets that I put on the fireplace. The paranormal stuff happened the minute I moved in, or that we moved in. I went to go take a shower, and I remember taking out my nightgown and putting it on the bed and going to take a shower. And my bed was fully made. And when I got out of the shower, my bed was pulled back, like someone pulled back the covers. And my nightgown was spread out nice and neat where the covers were pulled back. And I said, oh, that is so sweet. My daughter came in here, and pulled back my sheets and put my nightgown and spread it out all nice and neat for Mom. I'm going to get myself thrown together, and then I'm going to go thank her for it. Went to my daughter's room, and I said, honey, thank you so much for pulling back my sheets and putting my nightgown, straightening out my nightgown. She says, Mama, I didn't do that. I said, well, maybe it was Tara. That was my foster daughter. And so I went to ask Tara. I went to go ask Tara if she did it. Tara, did you pull back my sheets and put my nightgown all nice and flat on the bed? No, I didn't do that, Mom. And I said, okay. Oh, it had been Robert. What a nice guy. Brand new home. What a sweetheart. Went out to the garage. Asked him. No, he didn't do it either. I thought, I know I didn't do it. I wonder who did that. My daughter had paranormal things happen to her. One evening, she had walked out of her room. It was in our first week of staying there. When she left her room, she left her closet door closed and had her door to her room open. She went in to visit with Tara. She came back. Her bedroom door was not only closed, it was locked. Robert went to get a butter knife and open up the door. And when he did, and she went in there, her closet door was open. She also would feel watched in that room. She was, what's the word to use? She was harassed in that room. And completely horrified every night. She'd sleep with her TV on, not because she likes to watch TV before she goes to bed. It's so she'd have a light on in the room because she couldn't be in there in the dark. She said that it would start out as a black blob thing in the corner by her dresser and then creep next to the bed. She said at times it was just hard for her to turn around and even look behind her because she could feel whatever it was behind her and she didn't want to see it. In my foster daughter's room, you could hear a cat meow, but it wasn't really a cat. It sounded like an old woman meowing. And that also happened by the back door to the backyard on the sun porch side of the house. My daughter walked out into the kitchen one night and saw, or was it one morning? I'm just gonna say she walked out into the kitchen. I'm pretty sure I think it was the night. Anyhow, to an old woman sitting in the middle bar chair, because we had 3 bar chairs where the bar was, or where the bar is actually, is. And in the middle chair, there was an old woman in period clothing sitting there, and she looked right at my daughter. It seems like the longer we stay there, the more things happened. Me, I experienced just feeling watched. I would feel like there's someone tapping me on the shoulder There was no one there. The TV in my front room turned on by itself and then turned off. In my bedroom, the shower door closed by itself. I saw a black shadow running down the hallway towards the kitchen and going into the fireplace. When my daughter moved out, it was when she was engaged. She moved out to a condo, and I stayed there by myself. I would be grabbed at night, which is something that I was just terrified of happening when I was a little girl. And I would feel the same dark shadow and actually see it in the corner of my room by the closet. I would have horrible dreams of my daughter being in her room, and she would turn around and it wasn't my daughter. It was a thing, a creature. I also had a dream one night, or was it? I felt like there was something crawling on the side of my bed, and then it ran its fingers across my arm, just touching it a little bit, because I could feel the hairs on my arm come up. And I looked over at it, and it was a woman with long black hair, a white face, and her eyes were completely white. I heard a voice in my room. One night I had a particularly hard night sleeping. I was starting to go through menopause and I couldn't sleep. And I heard a voice ask me if I was okay. And then when I moved out, excuse me, let me get some water here. Then before I moved out, I used to lock up the house at night, and it felt like I was being watched in the old garage, and I was being terrorized mentally on a nightly basis. Then when I was getting ready to move out, before these people would come over to take a look at the house, I heard a voice say to me, "Don't leave. Why are you leaving?" It was terrifying. Of course, I don't run from spirits. Not unless they become violent. Then you have no choice. Before I left, just kind of backtracking a little bit, I came home one day, opened the door to see a woman walking from the front room into the kitchen. She had on a white shirt with like blue and red swirls on it, a pair of turquoise pants. She had blonde hair that was about shoulder length, and she was floating into the kitchen. There was no feet. That was a scary, scary place. During the day, it's like it had a welcome sign on it because everybody wanted to come and stay with me or move in. And at night, it would trap you, and then you'd go through hell all night long. I have a picture that I took of the front of the house, and in that third bedroom where we heard the meowing, like an old lady, but a meow, what an old lady would do. I have a picture of a woman. You could see the outline of her glasses, her hair, and her shoulders. I still have that picture somewhere. Let's see. My next story is the most scariest one. I was 5 years old when I moved down to stay with my mom and dad, my brother. Now, a little bit background about this house. My mom, my dad, my brother, and I lived in Los Angeles. And the office or actually the business where my grandpa, my mom, and dad worked was in San Diego. We had their office down there. Okay, that makes total sense. Anyhow, Mom and Dad wanted to find a place closer to work, closer to where the boat was. We have a sport fishing boat in San Diego. That's probably how I should have started it. Anyhow, my dad found this house and wanted my mom to go take a look at it to see what she thought. Well, she gets there and she walks through this house. She said, now these are her own words. She says, I walked through the house. It seemed dark, Danelle. I seemed to be a little uneasy. And when I left, I heard something like, get out. I asked her, Mom, why in the world did you buy it? Why did you and Dad buy that house? She said, your dad loved that house. So what was I going to do? See, back in the 60s, you do what your husband tells you to do, basically. I mean, there is a woman's lib, but you still did what he wanted you to do. You didn't cause waves. So anyway, they buy the house. Okay. I stayed with my grandma and grandpa until I was 5. The reason for that was because 4 months after birth, I got sick and almost died. And I got cerebral palsy from the sickness. So anyway, my dad tells my mom, hey, are you going to bring Janelle down here, or is she going to just live with your mom and dad for the rest of her life? So mom sends for me. I moved down there, 5 years old, to a house that is terrifying. To this day, my mom still doesn't believe it. The minute I show up is when I start experiencing paranormal things. It started as nightmares. I would think there was vampires in my closet. I always thought that there was someone watching me from my closet. I always thought there was something under my bed. I was terrified on a nightly basis. I'd hear creaking at night. It was just a very scary place to be. My brother had anger management problems that came from the house itself. It influenced my brother terribly. My dad had anger issues when he was home. My brother attacked me 3 times in that house. God rest his soul. It wasn't my brother. It was whatever was in that house influencing my brother to do that. It was definitely a demon. I used to think there was a coffin in my room. One time I thought I had a dream that my brother was a vampire. It didn't help that I watched scary movies. But that's not all. That's not all that was behind it. I used to sleep in my room with our maid, and she was there Sunday through Thursday. She was there, and I felt safe. The weekends, I was not safe. And then when I was about 8, Mom and Dad got rid of her, or asked her, actually didn't get rid of her, they fired her. Well, my brother and my mom found crosses, little wooden handmade crosses all over the house. Everywhere, in every room, in the garage. I mean, they were canvassing the house. They were everywhere. And my mom and my brother collected them all. She said the house was haunted. She said the house was possessed. She said not by a good spirit at all. She was dismissed, like I said, fired. And I no longer had the protection of any of those crosses. And it was like on. Everything ramped up. I was trying to tie my closet doors shut with like a hair rubber band, or even an actual rubber band, so whatever was in the closet couldn't get out, and I can get out of there before. I had a kitten that one day I woke up and it was acting weird, acted like it was been poisoned. It couldn't sit up straight. It was kind of glassy-eyed. I thought for sure it was going to die. My mom and dad were on vacation, and my grandma was watching me, and I screamed for grandma to come quick because this cat's dying. This kitten is dying. And I remember going to my mom's bed and crying. And my grandma coming in and saying, it's fine, it's fine. I think the most scariest thing, I used to sleep in the hallway because I couldn't sleep in my room because it was just, the atmosphere was so thick, whatever it was, and I was scared that something was going to grab my foot at the foot of my bed. Every night I was terrified that something terrible was going to happen. I grew older. I was about 12. And my mom and dad were out, and my brother was out with friends. And I was watching TV, and all of a sudden, the atmosphere in the house went from warm and cozy to freezing. I mean, so cold you could see your breath in front of your face. And I remember looking towards the hallway and just feeling, again, that peculiar, weird feeling that I feel when a spirit's around or when something paranormal is around. And I remember I watched the rest of the show. I was watching. I got up. I walked into the hallway. I went to go turn on the light. It would not work. I heard the old classic chains and moaning and stuff like that. And I stood in that hallway and I said, I yelled this out. I'm not going to do this because I'm in a courtyard here. And I yelled out, I'm not scared of you. You don't scare me anymore. You have no power over me. And I yelled that out twice. And all of a sudden, the moaning stopped, the chains stopped, and the temperature in the house went back to normal. I said, good, okay. I confronted it. It knows that it's not going to do this to me anymore. Unfortunately, my mom and dad were getting a divorce. And so we had to fix the house up to sell it. My mom wanted it to be painted. She wanted it to be the gutters cleaned. So one day, I was in my room. I'm thinking I was probably about 12 and a half at that time, because some time had passed. And I was brushing my hair, and you know how you flip your hair forward, you brush the back of it and then flip it back? Well, that's what I did. And when I flipped it back, and this is like I said, a couple of weeks after or so after I yelled at whatever that was harassing me, because I had about 2 weeks where I could actually sleep in my room, not have any trouble. And I thought, okay, this is over with. I've taken care of it. Well, not. They always say that things can ramp up, and they did. I was brushing the back of my hair, and I went to flip my hair over, and when I did, something behind me pushed me. And not only did they push me, it threw me, pushed me, and stayed right with me. So because if you're pushed, you're either going to the left or the right. I was pushed straight. So whatever pushed me was keeping their basically their hand right at the middle of my back. But anyway, it threw me through a window in my room. That is the most scariest thing that has ever happened to me before, at that time. But still, when I think about it, yeah, it's scary when that creature was breathing hot air on me or hot breath on me. But this, at 12 years old, was pretty darn scary too. Was up there. And you can imagine my mom when she saw that happen, because she was outside on the grass talking to the gardener when this happened. And this was in broad daylight. I was horrified and frightened to no end and back. I was done. I didn't want to be in that room again. My mom comes in, she goes, "Oh my gosh, Janelle, are you okay? Oh my God, you fell through the window." I said, "No, Mom, I didn't fall through the window. I was pushed." She said, "By your brother?" And I said, "Mom, Danny's not home." My brother's name is Danny. Danny's not home. I was pushed by a spirit. And she says, "Janelle, calm down, relax, hush, shush, hush," because the gardener was there, and she didn't, it was an embarrassing situation for her. And here she's got her daughter talking about spirits and ghosts and freaking out, who's just been thrown through a window, just about hanging out a window. Needless to say, I didn't get cut. I was lucky. My mom put a sheet of wood there and taped it. I did not sleep in that room anymore. I slept with my mom at about, at about 12 and a half. I'm sleeping with my mother because I don't feel safe to be in my room at all. And then we sell the place and we move out. I was so happy to leave that house. I was up there the other day just driving by, and the whole place now is fenced off. Like they couldn't make it any more scarier than that, or any more darker. I hope I never see that house ever again. I have a bonus story for you. It's this complex here. This place is haunted. It's haunted by I don't know if it's a demon or what it is, but it's this area right through here where I'm at right now. It's there's an apartment or a condo on the fourth floor in the corner that when you walk in, it feels like someone's kicked you right in the stomach, and you have stomach issues, stomach pains and cramps, and feeling really nauseous while you're up there. I know I did. I didn't buy that condo. It was for sale, and I can understand why. We didn't buy it because I couldn't live in a place where every time I walked through the door, I got sick. In the condo that I live in right now, there's a spirit that comes through every once in a while and stays a while and then leaves and goes to another condo. I saw it the first week I was here. I saw it walk out of my bedroom. There's always things here breaking down. We always got leaks. When the lights are not on out here, it's like super scary, super terrifying. I am looking for a new place to move to because I am tired of it. When you walk into my room now, it's like I get that same gut-wrenching, or is it gut-wrenching? Thank you, gut-wrenching. I'm speaking with the spirits when I said thank you. I get that same feeling like I did in the condo upstairs in my primary bedroom, and I can't be in there anymore. I was pushed in there constantly. I fell and cracked my lip open about 2 years ago. And ever since I moved to the other side of the condo, I now am being left alone. Those are my ghost stories. And I'm sure in the future, I'm probably going to live through more experiences. I'm sensitive to the spirit world. I've been there 3 times. I died 3 times when I was a baby. Some people only live through it once. I've lived through it about 4 or 5 times. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit subscribe. Tap on the little bar or the little bell there for notifications of upcoming videos. And I want to wish everybody a happy and safe Halloween.